Okay, awesome. All right, guys. So I am so excited to have Emily Finnell on here today. Emily's a Diamond Ambassador that lives in Kansas City, and Emily has become one of my favorite Plexus people. I don't even know how we became friends, but we did. We just kind of became friends. And she is so wise, and she leads a great team. Um, she she's just amazing, and she is encouraging and is always looking to improve and is doing so many cool things. But anyway, she actually won. For the jewels, our prizes were a little bit different. We did it in Hawaii, and she actually won the top prize of a $10,000 shopping spree. Can you imagine $10,000? And so she worked her tail off, and her and her team like did amazing things. And so, I mean, it was hard work. And so those people that got $10,000, I mean, amazing. So anyways, she's going to talk to us today, give us her story and some ideas. If you have questions, put them in the chat, and we will try to answer if we have time afterwards. So take it away, Emily.
All right. Thank you, Beth. Okay. So first of all, you guys seriously put some questions in there. I am happy to answer questions. As I'm talking, if you have questions pop up, just write them in that chat. I have it open because I did not prepare a whole lot of information. I don't know how many of you guys know my story. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my background and how I got to be where I am in Plexus. And then I want to talk to you about my passion, which is really leading with the business and being super bold and with excitement. So, but going back to before Plexus, I was a special education teacher. My husband owned his own architecture firm, and it was extremely stressful. We were always stressed financially. I had been through some medical stuff, and we ended up losing a baby, and then I lost my fertility at age 28, I think. And we had a son at the time, and so adoption became my focus. So this was all pre-Plexus. We had been waiting for an adoption. We finally were placed with this adorable little boy. Although we were only open to infant girls, God had a totally different plan for us. And it totally strengthened my faith. I truly felt like the Lord was leading me at that time in my life. However, I tend to find that the things that I tend to be most resistant to the things that the Lord brings to the table for me. I don't know if you guys can relate to that. But like I just explained with the baby, we only wanted a baby girl because it was what was in my mind, right? Well, God had a totally different plan, and I was super resistant to that at the beginning. But once I broke down that resistance, it changed our lives. So, but it also unfortunately left us with a lot of debt because adoption is expensive. Then comes one of my best friends, Tiffany Gebhardt, started posting about Plexus on Facebook. I understood network marketing. It made sense to me, the whole business model, the comp plan, all of that made sense. But I had been there, done that. And I realized that in my old company, the only people who made money were at the very top. You were maybe making $30 a month for the first couple years. And that, in my head, that was the box I put network marketing into. So I was super resistant to it. Are you guys seeing the common theme here? The resistance. And I actually tell my story, as embarrassing as it can be, because I really want people to hear that those people who are negative could be a diamond. I was that negative friend. I wasn't just the skeptic. I was the one who was outwardly like, oh my gosh, Plexus is so lame. I will never do that. I said those words. And like I said, I want you to hear that because you might have friends that are like that, and you're looking at them and you're like, oh man, if she could just change her attitude, she would be a rock star. Well, that's how Tiffany was with me. And I also think that that's a good lesson to learn from Tiffany's perspective, is she didn't let my attitude get her down at all. She just kept doing her thing. Her why was so strong, you guys. She wanted to be home with that baby girl, and she was going to be home with her baby girl. So my attitude, I always say, it was like water off a duck's back. She just kept doing her thing and moving forward. And when she did that, it really ended up modeling for me the behavior that it takes to be successful. And then the next thing you know, my best friend Stacy Curtis joined Tiffany. And when that happened, I felt like the world was crumbling. Like all of a sudden my friends were all like drinking this pink drink and they had all been brainwashed and it was just awful. Until I finally broke down, and it actually took, and this is where I think it's interesting. What broke me down had nothing to do with the products. It was the finances. My husband was put in a position with his business that we had never seen coming, and it was terrifying. And we felt like we were going to lose everything. And so, oh, sorry. Somebody was saying that they couldn't get into the Zoom link. So anyway, I remember sitting in the living room with Tiffany and Stacy and just crying to them. Like, we are terrified. I don't know how we're going to pay these bills and all this. The future looks really grim for us financially. And they just looked at me, and it was actually Tiffany, Stacy, it was an intervention. Tiffany and I were talking, and Tiffany called Stacy and said, Emily's going to join Plexus today. I'll text you when it's going to happen and you need to come over. So Stacy was waiting outside of Tiffany's house and I had no idea. And I was crying to Tiffany and she was like, you know what I'm going to say. And I'm like, I know, but don't say Plexus. I just don't want to hear it. And finally I said, okay, make me a stupid pink drink. Because if I'm going to at least talk about Plexus, I have to try pink drink. So she made me a pink drink. Stacy walks in the door and they both sat down and they talked to me about the compensation plan. And immediately I saw that I was wrong. It's not just the people at the top making money. Plexus comp plan is different. You can make money from the beginning. An extra $300 a month to me right now, at that point seemed like oxygen. I was drowning, and to see that I could actually help and bring in some extra money, even if it was just $300, $500 a month, that was the focus. So the products to me became a no-brainer. Probiotics, all of that made sense to me. I trusted Tiffany. And I couldn't afford to buy the products. I bought a welcome pack, but I couldn't afford to take the products because my husband was the one struggling with stress and he was struggling with his weight. So I put him on the products. And within 2 weeks, obviously I was sneaking pink drinks and I fell in love. But all of his allergies went away. He was able to sleep through the night. Like all of these things that I didn't see coming, and it just built that belief in me immediately. However, I always say the products to me are a no-brainer. The business is my passion. And that is how I started. I was super, super bold, you guys, at the beginning and still today. I just go about it a little differently because, back then the algorithms were different on Facebook. I made a deal with myself, and I tell new ambassadors to do this all the time. I want you to make a goal for yourself that isn't, a rank goal. It isn't even a sales goal. It's a goal that you have control over. And I want you to think of longevity in that goal. So for me, I said, I'm going to do this for 12 months and I'm going to post on Facebook twice a day for 12 months. And I did. I held to that. I was out of town for 1 week in Mexico. That was the only time I didn't post every day. But for 12 months, I posted every single day. And you guys, it was that consistency that's key. And I think we hear that all the time. And it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. We know it, but do we really practice it? So creating a goal that has the longevity and consistency in your business, however that looks, whether it's, doing 5-3-1 or doing an IPA challenge or doing, whatever it is, talking to 3 new people a day, whatever your goal is, don't do it for a week or a month. Do it for 12 months, for 24 months. Really have that longevity in mind. So I think that's one of the things I did right. Also, I think that people, when you're sharing about the business, I don't want you to only think about money. I want you to think about all the other benefits. And coming off of the cruise, for those of you who were on the cruise, capitalize on this. For those of you who were not on the cruise, still you can capitalize on the energy that came from the cruise. Because people read your energy. They don't really, the words that you say are not as important as the energy you bring to the conversation with it. So I want you guys to think about all the incredible things that happen at Plexus events. The friendships that are made, the vulnerabilities that are shared, the bonds, the fun. I want you to think of all of those things. And when you're talking to someone about it, I want you to look at them and imagine them at a Plexus event. Imagine how much fun they're going to have. Imagine the new friends they're going to make. Imagine them dancing on the dance floor late at night, just jamming out with their friends. Like, picture those things. And how can you not be excited for them, excited for what's to come? And when you are able to project that excitement on them and say like, oh my gosh, you have no idea how much fun you're going to have. You haven't even started yet. That makes people feel good. It makes people, excitement is contagious. Okay. So I am constantly excited about this business. I'm obviously excited about the income potential. But I find that people get overwhelmed when we talk about the jewel income. So I always come to people and explain, like, these are the different income levels. And I talk about the average silver, the average gold, the average senior gold. And then I do talk about the those top 3 ranks, the jewel income potential, that I say, if you are not in a place of like, that's your vision, that's totally fine. A lot of people, they can't wrap their head around that kind of money. So let's just scale it down. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you and an extra $500 a month. And having that conversation with people, I don't know if you guys have ever heard my permission to dream that I do with newbies, but we all come from we have baggage, and I shouldn't say baggage, a mindset that we bring to the table from our childhood, from what was modeled for us from our parents. And a lot of it looks like you go to college, or you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, or you get a job, whatever you watched your parents do. And then with your money that you make from that job, you pay your bills and you maybe save a little bit, and it's stressful, right? But that seems normal. As stressful as it seems, it's the norm because it's what was modeled for us. So the idea of residual income, the idea of breaking past that, is really uncomfortable. It actually makes you feel like, and I'm sure you guys have witnessed this, there has to be a catch, right? There's got to be some sort of a scam involved here. And that's the lens that people look at it through. So I think it's important to be able to break out of that box, but you can't just come at somebody and say, okay, so this is going to be awesome. You're going to sell Plexus, and the next thing you know, you're going to be a diamond. Like that is so out of reach for people mentally. So you have to really you have to always try to light that fire from within. And the way that you do that is having them internalize what this could mean for them. So to internalize it, they have to start really, really small. Okay. So with new ambassadors, I explain this to them. I'm like, I want your buy-in. I want you to understand that you are in the box, and that's totally fine because most people are. So this is the activity that you do. You sit down with your husband or your spouse. I don't know if you guys have heard this. If you guys have heard this, sorry. I talk about it a lot. I have videos. No, you're good? Okay. So sit down with your spouse. I always think it's best to have an accountability partner in this, or somebody to dream with. And write down like 100% in your budget, realistic. What would you do with an extra $500 a month? Or you can even start at 100. But you have them really put it in their budget. Like, it's going to help pay for groceries. It's going to pay this credit card off that's been lingering. It's going to go into a vacation fund that we've always dreamed of, whatever it is, right? But make it real, make it there. They have to truly internalize it and make it theirs. Then let's go ahead and do an extra $1,000 a month. Where would that money go in your budget? How would that look? What would that change for your family? Do the same thing and I'm depending on the person, as many steps as you need to do, but an extra 3,000. What about an extra 5,000? And have them start to kind of stair step out of that box, because you can't start too high. But if you allow yourself, and that's why I call it permission to dream, is you're literally giving them permission to start to dream, because people don't know what it's like to dream. But once they get to that $10,000 a month and they're in the place of opening their mind to dreaming about what their lives could look like, where would they live? What would their husband's job be like? Where would they be able to have that shift in the amount of time they're putting into a corporate job or in their box job, versus just truly enjoying their lives and spending time with their family and, helping maybe a family member who's in financial distress, or maybe giving back in charity, or whatever it is that really excites them. That is their why. That's what's going to start driving them. And that's what opens their dreaming. And once you get them in a dreaming state, once you get them past that, outside of the walls of that box they're in, that's when you have somebody who's actually willing to talk to you about the business. Now, this is another wall we all are up against, right? People, even if we get them to the point of like, okay, I'm open to hearing about the business, where do we start, right? Well, we've been doing a lot of work on this on my team recently, and really dissecting what is it that people need. And one thing we've noticed is that we're not having people go silver as much as we should. We are not pushing silver enough. We're not creating the feel and the vibe that going silver is easy and it's just what you do. When I first started, that was what I told everybody. Oh, everybody goes silver. That's what you do. When you join my team, we just go silver. It's super easy. It's super fun. That was what I projected, and that was where their expectation was. But I think sometimes we talk about silver as if like, oh, it's the first real rank advancement, the first promotion that you get. Well, that's kind of sounds like a big deal, right? Maybe it'll take me 6 months. And if that's where their mindset is, then they either do it over a long period of time or they don't do it at all. They end up falling off and silver never happens. So creating that vibe of silver is super easy. It's just what we do. But I think more important than that is having their first win. They have to feel a success as soon as possible, because it's going to give them that money, that monetary feed, or the instant monetary feedback, or the instant monetary gratification is so underestimated, you guys. I had a welcome call with a newer ambassador last week, and she said, I didn't really think I wanted to do this business until I got my friend. I told her about it and she signed up. And now I'm like, wait a minute, I can do this business. And I don't think we realize how important that is, and how everybody truly feels that way. If we could get them their first customer, their first win right off the bat, it immediately shifts their focus to what this business could be for them. Because most people look at you because you're the one that's taken the step to do this business, right? And they look at you and they think that's awesome for her, but they don't internalize it. They don't think that they could do it. You hear all the time the things like, not really a salesperson. That's what everybody says. But if they got their first customer and you said, see, that's what it is, that's when they're like, oh, okay, never mind, I can do this. All I did was share something that I'm excited about. That's not salesy. So having them understand it, not just say it, but really live it out. Okay, so I'm trying to see if I took a few notes about things I wanted to make sure I mentioned, but what do you guys, where are your struggles right now? Like, give me some questions. Let me know where you are. And I love to just meet you guys where you are. That's another thing, making sure that you're communicating with your new ambassador and meeting them where they are. You should not be talking to your new ambassador very much. You should be listening, and start watching that. If you find that you're talking more than you're listening, then that might be a reason that this person isn't going anywhere. People want to feel heard, and that's super, super important. I need runners. Yes, we all need runners. And I think that that's where getting that dreaming and then having them have that win up front. My team and I are really working on, do you guys tell me Beth, what do you guys do every month? What is your month? Do you guys have a monthly calendar, 7-day trials? Do you guys do?
We've just kind of started putting one together. Like, we used to be good about doing stuff, but like this past month, we had a week that we did a 7-day challenge, and then we had a week that we did Silver and 7. And so we're looking at that. We just went back to, and that's one thing I want you to talk about. We just went back to like having team lunches once a month. We're trying to do more of getting our teams together like we used to. But I want you to talk about your happy hours that you do.
Oh,
and
yes.
But I want you to talk about how like it even took a little bit of time to get them like people committed and going, and so not to give up after the first or second month.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing. I think one of the biggest obstacles that we have is we will have an idea or even have the drive to do this business, and then we don't give it the time it needs. You guys, do you know that graphic where the little guy's like digging for the diamonds or whatever, and the guy quits right before he gets there? I think that's what happens a lot. And that's important for what I'm going to say about our healthy happy hours. So I loved the idea of getting together and sharing the real, honest truth in our testimonials. This is not public. This is not videotaped. This is just belly to belly, like, what has Plexus done for us? And I just moved, Beth said, I just moved back to Kansas City. I was in Texas for years. And I just moved back here, and most of my team is here because this is where most of my network was. So I went to my leaders and said, we need to do these healthy happy hours, and we just need to like make them super low key. We're not doing a presentation. We are legit just hanging out and telling our stories, product and business. And so we've created this monthly event, and we've learned, I'll tell you the things we learned. Number one, they don't work as well at the beginning of the month. We really thought we could front load the month and get people signed up and then get them, actually engaged by the end of the month. But what we found is that people just don't show up at the beginning of the month. It's just not as much of a priority. You guys know how this business is. It's literally like the beginning of the month, we're slow, and then things rev up, and the end of the month is when we actually have the momentum and people are actually working their businesses a little harder. So end of the month ended up working much better for us. We do Tuesday nights, Thursday nights work well. And what we do is the hardest place, honestly, is finding the right venue. You can do it at your home. I mean, you guys, the key is laid back and super comfy, wear your freaking yoga pants and a tank top, or a sweatshirt. Like, you want to make it really, really laid back. And then we take turns hosting, and the host, all they do is sometimes we'll bring the products and have them displayed just for, after everything's over, if you want to have conversations about them, but that's not even necessary. The host, all she does is everybody for the first probably hour, 45 minutes to an hour, we just like order a drink. A lot of people order dinner, and we just hang out, talk. It's really all about, do not underestimate the power of relationships being built, because guys, people will leave products. People will leave compensation plans. They'll leave the money, but they will not leave relationships. And you can never underestimate the power of that.
Like, so I want to say, amen. That's really what we're trying to get back to. It's the relationships. And I think we did so well at that for so long, and that's what we've got to go back to. But
yeah, it's important. And so, and especially in a fun, laid back atmosphere, you guys, people want to get help. They want to, especially in the winter months. We do find that the winter months, we have much higher, what am I trying to say? More people there.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Probably because people don't have kids' sports as much, maybe.
Yes, I think it's sports, it's travel, it's,
Yeah. But so I remember you first telling me about this, and I just want to say this because I know so many times people like do it 1 month, be like, nobody showed up. Guys, Number one, I want to say even diamonds have events that only ambassadors should show up. And sometimes those are the most powerful events there are, because it gets people believing again and it gets those relationships built. Second, that doesn't mean to give up. And so I know that when you started doing these happy hours, and I love this, and this is totally what I've gone to, like, we don't do anything anymore at my meetings except for share testimonies. That's it. Mm-hmm. Because that's what people want to hear. But that, I remember you said it took a few months before y'all really started having people come. And now lots of people come, but it did take, what'd you say, about 6 months before it became consistent with people coming?
Yeah, I always joke that there's a magic 6 month mark for so many things. My business did not start until I was 6 months in, but I was ready to give that consistency, and I was working hard, but it was 6 months before I saw the fruit of my labor. And I feel like it was a good 6 months before our healthy happy hour started really taking off. And what we did, it's like Beth said, it was for the majority of those 6 months, it was maybe 1 or 2, maybe 4 or 5 ambassadors that showed up. And that's all we would do. The host would be the one to kind of start it and just introduce herself. And then she would be the ones to just like give people a heads up. And it was as people showed up, like, hey, are you cool with you doing your product testimony tonight? Hey, will you do your business? Whatever. She would have that kind of range. But we usually did it at the night of, So again, this doesn't take a lot of preparation.
No. I'm doing one with Tiffany in a couple of weeks at my house, actually.
Are you? Oh my gosh. And the best thing about it is it really, the host, it's a great opportunity for people who had never really done public speaking at all, it's a super safe place to stand up in front of people and be like, hey, everybody, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Because it's super short. All you have to do is welcome everybody and then hand it over to the first testimonial. And we don't overload the testimonials. We do 2 or 3 really strong ones for products, and then the host stands up. And usually it kind of varies every time, which I love. And I love that I'm learning from the way that other people state things. So then the host just really briefly explains, how and why these products are so powerful. Blood sugar regulation, inflammation, and gut health. Basically those 3 things. And that's really, it's pretty short. But one thing we want to touch on is, okay, so tonight you've heard about somebody that's helped with anxiety, from PCOS to, blood pressure issues, whatever, so, okay, it might sound like a magic pill. I want to explain how and why it's helped with such a variety of things. It's getting to the root of health concerns, right? So that's like as simple as it is. And then they tell their business story, and then there's 2 or 3 business testimonials. And that's kind of the flow that we have. But the most important part is at the end, you end it with, okay, so you've heard a few testimonials tonight, but raise your hand if you're an ambassador. Every single person whose hand is raised, those are the people you want to go talk to. So, talk to whoever you heard tonight that because I know you know someone. I learned that from Sarah Marble. Sarah Marble and I did an event together, and I love that she said it like 4 times throughout the whole event. She kept saying, I know you know someone. And that's a really powerful thing to say. Yeah. It gets people thinking, and they immediately are like, oh, what? Yeah, I didn't think about it. Now that you say it, my mother-in-law, so you want to constantly be plugging those, like I call it planting seeds, but planting those little seeds of, I know you know someone. And then you're encouraging the communication. So again, you're going back to the sense of community at the end of, okay, you guys stay as long as you want. We're going to be here for a while. If you have questions about the products, they're over here. Talk to the person who brought you. They can come over and show you whatever. But I really encourage you to go hear more testimonials tonight, one-on-one. And I want you to ask questions of those. And there's sometimes where it's a small group, and it's like a round table where we all just talk about, one night we went off on a whole thing about kids, and it was incredible, the stories that came out of that. And actually I added a few supplements for my son after that I heard we're working with another, ambassador with her son. So it just, all of that community stuff to me is just so, so powerful.
Well, it's doing life with people. And that's the whole key, I think, guys, is, like we've said, relationships and doing life. And when you make it simple and not formal, my favorite ones are literally where I go and there's 4 or 5 people and we're sitting on a couch and we just hang out and talk life, and then I throw my story in. I just think they're so impactful, and I feel like people can relate to that so much more than these big meetings with PowerPoints and blah, 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 that we tell every ingredient that's going over 99% of people's heads. And so I switched it a while back as well as just doing the testimonies. And like I said, Tiffany and I and another gal out here, we did one at my house. We did a brunch for what'd they do that Saturday that we all had.
Yeah, the National Symphony.
And so we said we're going to start doing them once a month. We're going to try to do something like that. And guys, just so you know, they are not on my team. We're totally, I don't even know if we're sidelines. I guess we're kind of sidelines, but we're just,
I think somehow.
So Tiffany is lives out here now. And then we have another gal who's a senior gold under a totally different team. And we're just doing them together because we're not in an area that's just like tons of people. And so we're doing them together literally probably at 4:30 or 5 on a Sunday for about an hour, just hanging out, snacks, drinks. If you want to have wine. You don't have to. You can have tea, lemonade, whatever, and just doing life together. And that's what we did. We literally sat around my living room. There were like 25 of us here for Sip and See Day, and we had about 4 people tell their stories. And that, we had snacks for about 45 minutes, and then people tell our stories. It's not
well, and that's and about that though. I've always heard that you want to make it so laid back. You want every single person who walks in your house to think, oh my gosh, I could do that. Like, right. That's where you want their head. You don't want to be impressing people with your amazing culinary skills at this point. Mm-mm. You really want to have them watch you open the bag of carrots and dump them and open the thing of hummus and put it out. Those are the things that make people feel more comfortable that they, again, it's all about having them internalize, and that helps with the internalization. Okay, I really quickly want to say something about, somebody asked about customers versus ambassadors. She says she's able to get those customers, but ambassadors is the struggle. So a couple things. I think this is important to understand. As the ambassador talking to them, you are the expert in their eyes. So you are truly the one who steers them in the direction of ambassador or customer. So the verbiage that you use for that is, it just makes sense. Seriously, if you say that, they're going to go along with whatever you're saying. If you say it just makes sense for you to go ahead and sign up as an ambassador, again, you're the expert. They're going to be like, oh, okay. Like I think a lot of times we get in our head about like, which one do you want to do? Like never ask them which one they want to do because they don't know. You're the expert. So
but only if they're going to order $100 every month.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. But you want to make sure that we call it pre-qualifying them to be an ambassador. So my biggest, when you get to that fork in the road, the questions I ask are you willing to give this the full 90 days? Yes, we have a 60-day money-back guarantee, but I want you to understand that this takes time to work in your body. Are you willing to try at least the triplex? And I always push triplex plus X factor or triplex plus mega X. I always want to overload the products so that if they do drop one, it's still going to be over 100 PV. So are you willing to give triplex plus mega X that full 90 days? And if so, if they say yes, then you say it just makes sense for you to be an ambassador. It's going to be the best price. But I seriously think that you're going to end up telling people and these are the seeds you plant, you guys. You always act like oh my God, girl, I already know you're going to start sharing. I know you. I know it's going to happen. What that does is it plants that seed in their head. I actually just this morning got off a call with a brand new ambassador who was like, yeah, I don't really want to do this business, but she's really into CrossFit and that's her whole community. And she was talking about how all of her CrossFit buddies drink these energy drinks that she knows have these awful ingredients in them. And I was like, oh, okay. So again, I'm respecting her wishes not to do the business. But then I said something like, well, the thing is, I just know you're going to end up feeling so awesome on the pink drink. The next thing you know, you're going to be talking about it at the gym. Like you're going to tell your CrossFit buddies because you know that it's going to be better for them. So that was a seed I planted. I wasn't being pushy. I wasn't telling her to do the business and forcing her to do anything, but I planted that seed. And the next thing she's probably going to tell a few friends at CrossFit about Plexus. So planting those seeds is super important. And you always want to set them up. You guys, every single new customer or ambassador you have, you need to say the words, you are going to love Plexus. Like you have to immediately pour that positivity in them. You have to say, I know you are going to love this. As soon as somebody makes the purchase, they want to be told that they made the right choice. Because a lot of people, this is a big investment. $100 whatever dollars, depending on what they're buying, over $100 in product. That's an investment for people. So the first thing you want to do is encourage them and let them know that they made a good choice. Validate the decision they made. But anyway, so when you're at that fork in the road, you ask if they're willing to give the full 90 days. You ask, tell them that, next thing you're going to be telling a few friends and you're going to make, the money back, whatever. It's super easy. Once you say the words, it just makes sense. And you can do it the other way. It just makes sense for you to be a preferred customer right now. You're going to get a discount on your products. You're going to get them every month. So you don't have to worry about ordering. And, I don't have to help you with that part. Super, super simple. That's more convenient for you. And we can always upgrade you at any time if you do choose to want to share, or if you're super consistent with your products, then the next thing you want to do, you are, spending enough that it just makes sense for you to switch over to ambassador. We can always do that. So that's kind of the way that you steer them in either direction.
That's awesome advice. Just telling them what to do, because you're right. Okay, there was one more question. I feel like I know how to work this business, but I have trouble duplicating down and creating leaders. I work well with runners, but I need to get better at showing the other 90% of people how to be successful.
Yeah. I think that is where consistency in a calendar is important. Having that calendar where you're like, okay, we know the first week is IPA. We know that we've got a 7-day challenge. So anyway, my team is starting to realize that exact thing. It's like, okay, we've got these runners, but so many people are slipping through the cracks. You know, we talked about, I don't know, Beth, if we were in the same jewel training, but they had us stand up at mine years ago if we said we weren't interested in the business. And you guys, it was like half the room stood up. So to hear that you have ambassadors on your team who say they don't want to do the business, that should mean nothing to you. That does not mean they're not already, you know, they're not a jewel waiting to happen. So, oh, the calendar. Okay, so she's saying she did the calendar and she's doing better without it. So that's where we're kind of, my leaders and I are going through this like, okay, is the calendar overwhelming, underwhelming? And this is what we've decided to do. So I'm doing again, like Beth said, you've got to give things time, right? So we're doing a pilot study, 6-month pilot study. My team is called Pink Freedom, and we're doing a spinoff of the Pink Freedom page. And I've made this exclusive, which I hate to do, but it's for a purpose. And I've been really, really transparent with all of my jewels about it. But I've handpicked these teams that really need that. They need something. They need traction, right? So they're smaller teams, and we're all working on this together. And it's called Plexus for Free. And what it is it is a spinoff of Pink Freedom. So it's like a team page, but it's literally for all those people who say they don't want to do the business. And the name is Strategic Plexus for Free. And then it's going to say in small words, like, because I share something I love or something, you know, like we're not going to market it, you know, that seems kind of, I don't know, what's the word? It's just, it doesn't seem like it's leading them correctly if we say Plexus for Free. It truly is getting their products paid for. And so what we're doing is we've created a calendar that is 5-day IPA challenge, 3-day blitz, 5-day IPA challenge, 3-day blitz. That's the month. That's it. And that's really all that's on that page. Now, as you get new ambassadors, you explain to them like, and this only works when you're working one-on-one with your new ambassador. And so we're basically just saying like, hey, I think Plexus for Free is going to be perfect for you. All you have to do is get one friend to do the 3-day blitz next week. So you're not going to have everybody start on a 5-day IPA challenge because that could be overwhelming. You know, and everybody's different. But the majority of people, they're like, okay, this stresses me out. But wait, I can get one friend to do the 3-day blitz. Remember, we want their one win. We want them to get that one new customer. So immediately they're going to have their friend do the 3-day blitz. They're going to see success. They're going to hopefully see, and obviously we want more than one friend, but that's an easy way to bring them in to see what this is, to kind of pull back the curtain of what Plexus ambassadors do. And that's what it's going to do, because I think sometimes the IPA challenges and all of this stuff on the team page seem overwhelming for newbies. But if you can dial it back a little bit and make this smaller, really focused one-on-one, you know, I'm going to communicate with you and explain what this is, and let's just get you started with this 3-day blitz. It's super fun. That hopefully will create traction earlier for these people. Kind of like widen the net, you know, pull those in and keep that net.
And I think too, so many times, like when people say they're not going to work this business or they're just doing it for wholesale, a lot of people forget about them. And a lot of people don't keep in contact with them. Mm-hmm. And like I go through, you know, when people say, you know, why am I not ranking up? Why am I losing points? What is this? And I go through and look, and they have hundreds of level ones, hundreds. And, you know, they're not ordering, that haven't been ordering. But I think a lot of times it's that maybe you just were like, okay, they're ordering their products, they're fine. And we're not even touching in with them, touching base with them, picking up the phone and calling them. If they're your level one, then more than likely you know them and you can call them and not just send them a text. And I think so many times, you know, that's one thing that I've been really trying to focus on too, is just reaching out to everybody. I mean, even with our new products, right now is a prime time to reach out to everyone, every old customer that you've had, every old ambassador that you've had or have, and just letting them know. I spent a lot of time doing that yesterday, you know, just saying, hey, we have these great new protein shakes. I'm loving them. You know, we're actually doing, corporate is having a 14-day weight loss challenge where people can win lots of money, and just letting them know that we're having the way to earn. And it's a perfect time, even if they've said they never want to do this, even if they haven't ordered in a year, whatever, to reach out to them. But I think that needs to be a goal for everybody, is to touch and talk to them more frequently, because again, it goes back to that relationship. And you're right, people will leave the products. They'll just get tired of taking them. I mean, we take them all the time, but every once in a while I'm like, gosh, I got to go in there and take those products. I do it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's not that committed to doing that. And if nobody's even talking to them or touching them or loving on them a little bit, they're going to leave. And so I really have been noticing that a ton lately, looking at points and people's teams. And there's hundreds of ambassadors out there that I feel like they probably said, I don't want to do this. I just want to be wholesale. I just want products cheaper. And people maybe reach out to them once or twice and then never again. And I think that's a huge breakdown. There has to be that communication in that relationship.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that.
Okay, there was another question up here. Okay, what action steps do you take after they visualize the $500 a month?
So that's when you want, and this is why we've created this Plexus for Free page, because what I found was even some of my stronger leaders would have time in their day to sit down and do Plexus, and they didn't even know where to start. They're like all over the place, and they've got a team page, they've got this, but they're not doing the IPA. They're not doing what's producing income. And like Beth said, it's sometimes just sitting down and reaching out to those people. But people say they want it. They say they're doing the reach outs, but are they really doing it? And that's where I actually love the Brooke and Emily stuff. I love the breakdown of the IPA challenges, because one thing that I've noticed is people can feel like this business is suffocating, because when they sit down to do it, they're scrolling, they're messaging, they're all over the place, and it ends up being their entire day. Whereas you can sit down, do the IPA challenge, touch your business in really, really efficient ways, and then say, I'm done for the day. I did my Plexus work, and feel good about that. And then tomorrow do it again. It's that consistency. And it just gives you that roadmap that makes you feel like you're actually moving forward.
I'm here to tell you, you can become a Jewel ambassador by spending 30 minutes a day on Plexus. Does that mean that's what my life looks like now? Absolutely not. But if you truly commit to not doing all the fluff and scrolling and paying attention to what everybody else is doing, and literally reaching out to your people, reaching out to your teammates and answering questions, you can do this business in 30 minutes a day. Instead of working all day long and getting nothing done, commit to 30 minutes. I mean, there were days I didn't even have 30 minutes when I first started. And, but I committed every single day, but I also didn't have time to scroll through Facebook and scroll through everything. Yes, we need the team pages, because yes, there's information that needs to get out there 1,000,000%. But sometimes there's so much that we get bogged down with, and we need to focus on doing our IPA, literally sitting there and message people, following up. And that's what's going to grow your business for sure.
Yeah. So I guess to answer the question, I personally, when I have that person who's like ready to get started, I focus on 500 PV and 3 new ambassadors, like silver and 500 PV. That is my main focus. Sarah Taylor said once, and I love this. She said, my job as your sponsor is to help you get the best testimonial you can have and the best paycheck you can have. And I love that. And I think that is fundamentally what that next step is just help them get. And as much as we want them to go silver, and I want them to go silver, guys, the biggest bang for their buck at the very beginning is getting PV. It's getting those customers. And so that's always a hard balance, right? It's really teaching them up front. And I do a lot of like Marco Polo. I really want them to hear me talk to their friends. So, okay, like my sister-in-law said she wants to try the pink drink. I say, great, go ahead and get her on a Marco Polo and introduce her to me. And then I want her, my new ambassador, to listen to me talk to her sister-in-law and ask questions, and the flow of tell me everything about you. This is my product recommendation. And then steer them in the direction of either preferred customer or ambassador. And then my friend Sally, Sally's the one I just signed up. So I'm talking to Sally's sister-in-law. The end of the message is Sally's going to call you today and help you get your order in. You guys, being on the phone with someone putting their order in is so important. And I think that that's something that is also like completely slipped through the cracks. We used to do it. I used to do it so much more. But I find that when I don't do it, I have like a 50-50 chance of if they're actually going to put their order in.
Yeah. And if y'all don't know what Marco Polo is, it's an app and it's free, right? Yeah, it's free.
Oh yeah, it's free.
And it's like a walkie-talkie, but they can see you. So it's even better than voice messaging or texting or whatever, because they can actually see you.
And you can fast forward. You guys, it's changed my life. You can push it. You can push 2 times and they talk like chipmunks, but your brain can process so much faster. So you're able to just hear it and it doesn't take as much time in your day.
Jenny is laughing. Are you laughing at me, Jenny? Because the other day I knew you were. So I pushed some button. I didn't even know what I did, and I totally changed my voice. And so, I saw my kids laughing, and I was like, I know what she's laughing at, because she was like, you don't even know that you did this, but you just changed your voice. So anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love Marco Polo. I use it a lot. Yeah,
that's a good idea. I really haven't used it for that, but I like that a lot, because even people can see you. Yeah, It's fun. So. Okay, any other questions? This has been so good. Oh my gosh. It's been
well, thank you. I feel like I kind of came into it like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but this was
it was fabulous. I have 2 pages of notes, so yeah, not even kidding. It's been so good. Anything else, guys? If not, just a couple of reminders. Please register for Super Saturday. They will sell out. You want to be there absolutely for sure. Please make sure you know the details about the Slay the Season and Way to Earn. I keep mixing up the names in doing that. And then next week, our Zoom will be a Leaders Retreat recap. So make sure you're on there. There's one more question. Do you want to grab that real fast? Emily, do you have time?
What does it say? Oh, step by step. I wish we had a dummy sign-up process so we could walk through it with them. You know how you can't go to the next page with them? I feel like there's a
graphic that walks you through it. There's a graphic on our team page that walks you through it. Let me see.
I know there's a graphic, but I typically just I'm just on the phone if they have questions. And yeah, I haven't even signed anybody up now that it says oops, you forgot your welcome pack. Now that they're actually, it's much better with the whole welcome pack thing. Yeah, it's changed recently. We probably need
my graphic probably is out of date.
I know, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I don't have one either, but I just have them tell me, okay, what does this page tell you to do? We need new ones. I know.
Hey, where are you going to be Super Saturday?
I'm speaking in Colorado.
I know some of y'all will be in Colorado, so get there, get your teams there, guys. Yes. It is huge to get there. I know it's a sacrifice. I know it's a Saturday. I know some of you are going to have to drive. I don't know how many hours. It's totally worth it.
It's so worth it to be there. Oh, yay. Somebody will be in Colorado.
Yeah.
I'll be the speaker. Me and Andrea. It'll be a fun group.
It'll be good. Nebraska, y'all get to Colorado. That's where y'all went last year, I think, right? There's lots that'll be in Colorado. I'll be in Utah. I know we don't have a ton of people in Utah.
Who are you speaking with, Beth?
With Whitney War.
Oh, that'll be fun. Yeah. I don't know.
So I was in Utah last year for Super Saturday too, but I really love.
I thought that sounded familiar for me.
Yeah, I know. So anyways, it'll be fun, but please, 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 it is so important to get there. Grab your teams, make it fun. If you have to travel, get a hotel room, pile in a hotel room, and make it a fun weekend event. Seriously, these things can do huge, make huge strides in your team. So for real, get there.
And say hi to me if you're in Colorado. Come say hi to me.
Go see Emily. Okay, Emily, I hope we get to see you next week in Kansas City.
Oh, yes.
I'm coming. We'll talk about it. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.